going on, Align Tribes? Welcome to another episode, which I'm gonna call this the official #1 episode right here. We just gonna go and dive in. I hope y'all had a good day today. Man, before I even start this recording, the devil been on my back. I'm telling you, been on my back, man. I went through I went through a lot just to get started on this video, but I ain't finna waste my breath on him and stuff, man. We're gonna just get into this, man. Tap in, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend about it or something, and we're gonna embrace anybody that walks into the tribe, man. But let's get into it. And I want to start this off with a verse from a song. I love music, so I always find phrases or quotes from a song that stick with me, and I apply them to me myself on a day-to-day basis, or I look at it and say I can relate to that, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot of y'all that do the same thing. So this verse right here is from the rapper Simba. I don't know if y'all heard of him, man. He be on some real stuff, man. He be diving in on and stuff. And the name of the song is called West Side Story. And the line that I got from there, and I'm reading it off of here and stuff, man, because I just want to quote it right, he said, "When you reach different levels, you become a rebel who adjusts to whatever and wherever." And so that brings me, and I'm going to piggyback off of that because that relates a lot to the topic I'm going to talk about today. And the talk that I'm having about today is called choices. Just like E40 said, everybody got choices. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? So, diving on into it, man. I've been on a journey throughout my life. Everybody has. And as I get older, I'm realizing that choices are very, very necessary. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you a backstory. When I was incarcerated, they had this program where you could go and you could talk to the children and stuff, like the troubled teens and stuff, the troubled youth. And so I was like, okay, I'm down for it. And I ain't gonna lie, at first I really wanted to do it to get out of the house, right? So I looked at it like, get out the house. Look at me. I'm just glad I ain't on that stuff no more. But to get out of the environment that I was in at the time. So I was really just trying to use to get out of there. But then something was like, take it serious. You know what I'm saying? Just because you don't want to go in telling somebody something and it ain't coming from the heart. And so I sat down and I meditated on it for a while. Like, this is really what I want to do. And I just decided, like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to jump off the cliff and spread my wings and see where it takes me and stuff, right? So we always trying to find a way when we approach somebody how to gain their interest or get their attention and stuff. And I thought about it like, kids, what did I like at that age? I like superheroes. I like, I was into all that type of stuff or whatever. So I came up with an idea and a question that I asked, and I use this question to the day, even with grown-ups and stuff. And when I started off, I opened up to ask them, if you had a superpower, what would it be? And you had everybody saying, I wish I could fly, I wish I was invisible, I wish I could run fast, etc., right? And so I looked around the room and I told them, I said, everybody in here has a superpower that's in common with one another. And I said, it's called choice. And you get people look around like the kids like, what? Like, adults, I'm pretty sure the adults got it and knew where I was going with this and stuff. And I said, yeah, choice. Choice is a superpower. I said, man, you are given this opportunity by God to be able to make your own decisions, right? And the choices that you make, there are consequences to them, right? So if you make bad choices, you know what you get. you make good choices, you know what you get. Now, I'm not saying that bad things still wouldn't happen even if you make the right choice, but it's still all a test, right? And you still have to be proactive on whatever happens in those, those consequences. So I dove into that with them and stuff. And after the talk and all that, they came up to me, and I had a couple of them who understood where I was coming from. So I'm like, well, if some of these children understand where I'm coming from about that, then I know that there are adults that will get this. But a lot of times we know this, but we don't really be intentional with it. Like, we don't really meditate on that thought of that we have a choice. You see what I'm saying? So it gets to a point that sometimes we just moving. We're irrational about things, or we're impatient to where we just jump on something just because we don't want the opportunity to get away from us or whatever. And a lot of times we make the wrong choices in things in life and stuff. And I get it. We all human. We gonna make the wrong choices at times, but that's a part of learning, growing and stuff. But I've realized over time, even with my children, the choices that they make, it becomes a scary thing, because you try to let them kind of walk their own path and stuff, and not try to get our way in the way, because you want them to have a mind for themselves and things and stuff. And I always explain to them about the choices, in different scenarios and stuff, about choices that I made in my life, right? So being a young man or a young woman, we have to teach these youngsters, like, that's very valuable, you know what I'm saying? So we can't just ride with the crowd and things of that nature and stuff. So I was at a point in time where I lacked the patience to really sit down and gather a thought together to where it makes sense to me. I was living a lifestyle of today could be the last day. Now, don't get it wrong, I still had to move strategically, but even then I was moving strategically in the wrong way, because I wasn't making long-term moves, to where it's leading up to something big. It was short-term stuff that eventually led me into a place of, resentment and regret and things of that nature. And I will say, to this day now, though, me being mature, I don't regret nothing, because had not I went through what I went through, I probably wouldn't be sitting here in front of y'all right now and being able to talk about this and stuff. But the choices that I started making when I got incarcerated, when I changed my mindset about things, because I was really able to look at it and see that this was a system and it was a big game. I started off, when I first got locked up, I started reading books, and I was reading a lot of the urban books, and I heard Wall Street Trapper say this too, but I did the same thing. I was reading a lot of the urban books and also the Bible, but I got tired of the urban books because it was the same thing, repetitive thing, the same outcome, the same plot, the same twist to every story. Only thing, the characters' names were changed up and stuff, right? So I told myself I need to read something that's gonna elevate me, that's gonna give me, some substance or whatever. So I remember calling my mom one day, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, I've been hearing about this book, and everybody knows about this book now and stuff, but it was like the hot topic thing, the trend at the time." And I will say that it's a good book to have in your collection, and it was The 48 Laws of Power. And I got that book, man. I sat down and I didn't just read the book. I studied that book. Because it was stuff I already knew. But refreshing myself, it made me sharper, because it was a constant, just over and over, consistently reading this over, studying it, putting it into play and stuff like that. And it started elevating my mindset. And so then after I read that, it was like, okay, I need to get into more self-help stuff. So I start, I'm calling her, hey, I need this book now. I need this book. I'm getting recommendations for things and stuff. People give me book recommendations. I'm chopping the books down and stuff. And as I kept on reading, my mindset started to change. You see what I'm saying? My mind state started going to a whole nother level. And I started to, and that's why I also call it, ranking riches. I started to rank in my mind. I started to become better than what I was the day before, right? So me seeing that progress of me moving up and getting better at what I was doing and who I was, it made me hungry for more. So me knowing I had 7 years to do, I didn't want to do my time backwards. And I'm looking around, and as I read more, I was around these crowds where dudes would sit up and talk about the streets all the time and what they gonna do when they get back in the streets. And it was never really nothing productive. A lot of them was just like basically going back to the same thing, but they gonna try to do it in a smarter way. They say a lot of times, prison isn't doing nothing, but it's a school for criminals. You see what I'm saying? But that's not necessarily true. Prison is what you make it. Being incarcerated is what you make it, man. And I was going through these cycles to where I was in these different groups with people, and I would hear the same conversations over and over. And when you ain't got nothing but time, you get bored of the consistency and the complacent of the same stuff over and over. So I started noticing myself growing out of these conversations. But then when I bring up something about something I read, and it's funny because they be like, oh, here comes Malcolm X with all this, he about to kick this knowledge and stuff. And then you can tell that a lot of people didn't want to hear that type of stuff, right? And so I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice to either keep hanging around in groups that weren't sharpening me at all, or I had to make the choice to be by myself. But one thing I noticed that at a lot of the different people that I was around, let's say it's 7, 8 people in a group, it's always at least one person who kind of, I get their attention. Then they pull me out to the side. Bro, I heard you over there. I want to check that out. And then over time, you've gained a group of collective, like-minded people, right? And then y'all start to sit down and discuss these things. And then you start to realize that the things y'all talking about and stuff, y'all sparring to where y'all sharpening each other on the different topics. It's challenging your thinking, your mental at this point, right? So after that, I ain't gonna lie, I was getting in trouble and stuff or whatever, and I was like, before they shipped me out to the penitentiary, we was on lockdown like every other week, right? And it was all based off the choices we were making. We were bucking like hard. And I had an old school tell me, he said, hey man, if you continue, you got 7 years to do, bro. You can do them backwards as you want to. You can do them forward to the flow. Forward to the flow is basically I can be class flow 4 all the way up and make my time even harder or whatever. He said, or you can find you some programs to get into and elevate yourself, man. Because you need a plan before you get up out of here. And I sat there and I thought about it, and at first, I ain't gonna lie, it had me to a point where I was like, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about and stuff. But this man done seen a lot. So he knows something, even though he's in the same predicament that I'm in. They say you can learn something from an old fool as well, you feel me? So, and no disrespect to him on that level, but he was, he was a habitual offender and stuff. And he even admitted, like, man, I done messed my life up or whatever and stuff, man. Get it together, young man. You got a lot to go for. You got a lot to live for. He's like, I tell you, got a good head on your shoulders. You're just not using it properly. And I had an incident where my daughter ended up in ICU. And that was the moment where I had to make a choice in my life, man, because prison didn't scare me. Prison didn't hurt me. It didn't bother me, really. You know what I'm saying? It was the fact that my daughter was in ICU, and all I could vision her hooked up to all these tubes and stuff, And as a supposed to be man, there was nothing I could do about it. I can literally say that was one of the weakest moments in my life. And I was stressed out. My whole time in the pen, I had no other time had I ever been that stressed out in my life, in my entire life, because my daughter is in ICU, and I was praying for days. I was just praying. I wasn't eating, and literally forced myself to fast, and didn't even realize it and stuff. I didn't have no appetite, but I was just praying, crying every night and stuff. And I had to come to this decision. And I talked to God. I said, God, if you get me out of this, I promise you, I'm gonna become a better person. I'm gonna utilize my time right, properly, and I'm gonna discipline myself. I'm gonna make a plan for myself, and I'm gonna strategize, and I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna make something of myself. And from that moment forward, I was like, that I made that choice. And when I made that choice, it was like I started looking at different programs I could get in and stuff, because I doing time, people do time different. And I found a way to literally do my time. So I said, you know what? I need to stay constructive as much as I possibly can, right? So I got into every program that they were offering and stuff. I'm trying to get the best job and everything. I started off as a barber cutting hair in Ag Said, you know what I'm saying? And I was down there with some dudes who was like, man, some sharp dudes, man. And let me tell you something about the penitentiary, man. And you probably heard this before, but there's a lot of like gifted guys in there, man. A lot of them with a lot of good knowledge and stuff, man. It's just choosing the wrong way and to go about things and stuff. But when sitting back and observing and listening and peeping the scene, man, you pick up a lot. And so anyway, me doing what I was doing, I had people coming up, like I was trying to get in a certain program. That's like, you ain't gonna be able to get in there. You got aggravated robbery charge. You got a felony fleeing and stuff like that. They ain't gonna let you in that program. And I was slick listening to them. And I had an old school come up to me one day, because I was out of it. He know me, I'm usually up, joking around and stuff, having a good time, making everybody else day and stuff. He was like, man, what's wrong with you? And I was like, man, I ain't gonna be able to get in these programs and stuff. He was like, why not? I was like, man, the guy's saying because I got an aggravated robbery, this, that, and the other and stuff. And he was like, man, don't let these jailhouse lawyers tell you what you can and can't do. The most them folks can do is to, my bad, y'all, that's my alarm going on. The most that these folks can tell you is yes or no, but you ain't gonna know until you fill out for it, right? So I filled out for it, and I had to make a choice. Well, before I had to make a choice. Am I gonna listen to them, or am I gonna move forward and try it anyway and stuff? Because I'm like, I got 7 years. I'm really at the point I feel like I ain't got nothing to lose, right? So I said, forget it. I filled out for it. Took some time, patience, you know. And that's another thing it taught me patience too. I ended up getting into a certain program. After that, I said, I ain't listening to no more of what these folks saying, talk about up in here, because they don't know what they talking about a lot of the time. Some of them do. Some of them really don't. They just be talking at the side of their neck. But I noticed, like I said, when I quoted the verse earlier, that, you know, when you move up in certain levels, you literally do become a rebel. Like after that, like you see the progress and things. Now you like, man, I'm finna do it. I'm finna do it. Oh, this is what they got over here? I don't want no parts of that. That goes against everything that I stand for, or what I'm trying to do, or whatever and stuff. This negativity over here, all this old Debbie Downer stuff, and you know, just nothing producing anything is not good, right? It gotta be beneficial. So it gives you that rebellious mind against the struggle, against, you know, the poverty mindset, to say, nah, you know what? I gotta keep on climbing. I'm against that. I ride against all that negativity stuff, man. I got to make the best out of my situation. And I continued to do that through my years, man. And I kept getting myself, even though what everybody else would call a bad situation, being incarcerated, being locked up, true, it is. It's one of the worst situations you could be in. There's worse. There's situations that's worse, but at the same time, that ain't. I don't wish that on my worst enemy type of thing, right? But I had to make the best of that time. I had to make these choices during this time. I can either sit over here and be like, these different groups that's basically they not making nothing out of themselves while they in here. You know what I'm saying? You have to start that somewhere, right? So them choices that I made set me up to get out with a better mentality, because I've always been a person who, you know what I'm saying, I'm a daring individual. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, like I've looked at death in the face. You know what I'm saying? I've done things I'm not proud of, but I move so fearlessly in things. And sometimes I don't even like to say fearless. I move very ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And so after all that, I got out and I had to make a choice, man, because at that time, my wife was like, hey, we need to move. And I was against it. I was like, man, no, I don't want to move for this, that. And she was like, you need to move because you're going to end up back in the same situation. And at first it wasn't done on because I was trying to make every excuse of saying, well, my family here and I don't want to move all the way up there and stuff. I ain't going to be around. And yeah, that had a lot to do with it. But I was, even though I had changed my mindset in there, I still had to adapt to society now. Now I'm in this civilian life where I have more options. I have more temptation in front of me, and I gotta do something about that. I gotta make a choice on which side I want to be on, because I can't stand on the fence. It's one or the other, and that's how I always been. I'm on one side or the other. You feel me? But it still means you have to have good intentions with your choices, and they have to be beneficial. So moving forward, I gave in because I really sat down and I thought about it. I had to weigh the options. Like, hey, I can stay here, be comfortable, be complacent. I love my town, love my city, love Pine Bluff. But there's not many options there, right? There's not many options there. And I need the options because I'm a felon. And I need the most, I need a plethora of things to just, tap into. And so I made the choice to say, you know what? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Move up here. I ain't gonna lie. It took some adjusting to get. It took some time to get adjusted to. But like once again, go back to the verse. You know what I'm saying? Where it's basically saying like, we adjust to whatever and wherever. You see what I'm saying? And I knew then I really obtained the rebel mentality at that point, to say that I don't want to go back to the way I was. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be rebellious against that now. Be rebellious in a good way. And so got up here and I ain't gonna lie, it changed my life, because it took some adjusting to get to, because I came out somewhat institutionalized and I still had the street mentality too. You know what I'm saying? And coming into this demographic right here, it was something totally new for me. But I had to make a choice to where I have to adjust to whatever and wherever. You know what I'm saying? So I had to become acclimated to being around people that I have not been around. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm the type of person I can get along with the majority of people and stuff. But at the same time, it was still something new to me. And as I kept on, as the days went on and stuff, I dealt with stress, I dealt with homesickness, a lot of these different things. But I had to fight through all of that. I had to keep reminding myself what the bigger purpose was. What's the big cause of this? Because it's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? I got a family to support now and stuff. So I gotta make the right choices about things. Yeah, I had to leave family behind. I had to leave friends behind. But it ain't no love lost on either side. But that's a choice that I had to make. And I'm saying all that to say that now, when you get to feeling like that and you feel like you're gonna be leaving something behind, or you feel like, you ain't gonna look at me like I'm real no more or something like that, man, you better get up out that mentality. Cause you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be stuck. And then you're gonna be living with a lot of resentment, a lot of regret, all this different stuff because you didn't step out on faith and do what you knew you was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So be confident in what you're doing but think it through. You know what I'm saying? If you believe in a higher power, pray about it. You know what I'm saying? Because making an irrational move is one thing, but moving in a way because what you think other people gonna think about you, that's detrimental as I don't know what. That's very detrimental. You see what I'm saying? So make the move as soon as you can. Whatever it is in life, you got the power of choice. You make that decision. And that's my motto. You learn, you earn, and you disearn. And in that way you lead properly. Because especially if you got people counting on you, and at our age and stuff, my age, and the people of my age that's watching this, or even younger than me, and you got children and stuff, you can't base your choices off of what you think other people gonna think about you. That's the only way. That to me, that's the only total freedom that you really can have and obtain in this world. Is making your own choices. Get out that syndrome of the trying to keep it real deal. Cause like I'm tell you like that, my homeboy love. They tell me all the time they proud of me. I tell them now I'm proud of them. Cause we ain't trying to hold each other back. We understand where we trying to get in life because we know what we've been through. You feel me? So that's pretty much what I got to say on that, man. And I'm hoping that moving forward in all this, because even then, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with y'all. I still struggle at times with choices because I can be indecisive sometimes because I care too much to where me being a leader, I don't never want to lead my loved ones in the wrong way, right? So that's where I have to get to myself in solitude, and I gotta meditate on it. I gotta pray about it and stuff like that in order to ascend to that higher consciousness that's gonna help me make that right decision that I need to make, and that's gonna guide me the right way and stuff. But sometimes you just gotta step out. A lot of times you gotta step out on faith, and you just gotta do it. You gotta do it, and you gotta be ready for the consequences. Whatever consequences come, you gotta be the same way you take the wins. You gotta be able to take the losses. And like I said, I don't like to call them losses. The lessons you gotta take. It's a lesson in everything you do. Whether you calling it good or you calling it bad, you gotta dig and find that lesson in there. Because that's the choice you made, and you didn't make that choice on an accident. Everything is designed in order. But you gotta go and you gotta find the message in whatever that is, whatever happened after that, man. Like I said, right before I recorded this, man, it was something trying to work again. It was too much resistance that wasn't trying to get me to the point for me to talk to y'all. And I had a choice to either just shut it down and say, you know what, I'll worry about tomorrow, or make the choice to say, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyway. And like I said, it feel good to go and get it off my chest again. You dig what I'm saying? So next time you have an idea, something you want to do, your dreams, whatever it is, make the right choice on it, man. Make the right choice on it. Man, you live in a certain lifestyle that can bring harm to you or take you away from your loved ones. Make the right choice, man. because you got to think about it. The choices you make, especially if you got children, man, they gonna imitate what you do. Your demeanor, your thought process, all that, they gonna imitate what you do. You see what I'm saying? If you move irrational, they gonna move irrational. If you don't correct them when they move irrational, that's what they gonna do. So just as way as if we correcting them on something, we gotta still be able to correct ourselves. Like E40 said, everybody got choices. Everybody do. So make sure that you're making the right choice that's going to benefit and you can prosper from, and you can look yourself in the mirror and feel good about the choice you made, regardless of what anybody else say. Because you're your own person at the end of the day, and you the one got to deal with the consequences or reap them benefits. But make sure that your choice that you make, you meditated on it very well and stuff, man. But I'm gonna wrap it up. This is that was the topic for today, man. I hope somebody got something out of it and stuff. Like I always say, when I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking to myself too, man. Because I always work on myself as well. And once again, what we do is we learn, we earn, and we discern so that we can lead properly. And that's the end of this chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, boy, show love. It's a line tribe. We ain't doing nothing but aligning, bringing the tribes together, and we can work on that one big cause, man, to make sure that everybody is good to the best of our ability, man. Y'all tap in, show some love to somebody, enjoy your day, and we'll get it in on the next episode. I'm gonna holler at y'all.